Welcome back to the Hearthstone Collegiate National Championships. We've seen two fantastic matches already. We've got one more to get underway for you guys very shortly. My name's Cora Georgiou. I'm joined by Nathan That's Admirable Zamora. And I'm excited to get back into our final game of the day. So let's check out the regional map. This one is also coming to us from the West region. It's going to be the University of British Columbia taking on the University of Alberta. British Columbia currently ranked 28th in the region, 4-2 match score, 12-7 game score. And University of Alberta is 29th, right behind UBC, 4-2 match score, 16-10 game score. These teams have a lot on the line in this game.
Yeah, our second decider match of the night. The one we just saw, it was a battle for seeding, battle for pride, not really a battle for anything major at stake. But our first match and our third match, they share that similarity. The team that loses is going to have to wait till next season for their opportunity. The team that wins, suddenly still in the running for it. On the brink of elimination, one match decides it all.
It is crunch time for both of these teams. University of British Columbia and University of Alberta. Nothing crazy standing out here from either of these teams.
Yeah, Priest joining the fray here as well, quite a bit, alongside Druid. Again, the format slowing down due to the small-time Buccaneer and Spirit Claw change. Continues to slowly impact what we're seeing. Again, over the Heroic Pro, I saw a lot of Druid take place in there. I personally myself went into the fray with good old Warrior. I like weapons. I like patches.
Seems like your perfect match.
Yeah, well, I finished with a reasonable win rate. Not too good, though.
Well, here's the University of British Columbia. It's Bolt, Deck, and King of Kimchi. I actually used to be on a team with It's Bolt, so
yeah,
some notable names.
Very strong player, as well as King of Kimchi. I've seen these guys at high legend ranks a lot. If you're a grinder on the America's ladder, you definitely have run into these guys at some point. They're very strong players. They know their matchups, and look, they're here to game. With a center like that,
matching jerseys.
Why wouldn't you grind?
Looks like they've got their own esports center. That is
buddy.
sick. Wish
like
my school had something like that. Well, here's the University of Alberta. We have seen them on stream before. It is Dayu, Zerebellion, and Void.
I just like the name Void.
I am a big fan of Zerebellion.
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 Not trying to be offensive, I just happen to be.
That's the greatest excuse for everything. I'm not trying to be offensive. I just happen to be.
Yeah, people have like the resting faces that just look like they're angry and upset at everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my voice is like that. I have a resting, angry voice. So
I'm not trying to sound angry. I
really am not. Like most of the time, I'm excited about stuff. I mean, that's why I play video games, so I can get excited about goofy things. But it just sounds like kind of angry sometimes. I don't really get it.
I used to walk down the hallway in high school, and people would ask me if I was okay. I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. What do you mean? They're like, you just look so upset.
Yeah. See, people
you
hear
just
me
look so angry.
People hear me say that I'm totally happy, and today's a great day, and they're like, yeah, be more sarcastic, man. I'm like, oh, I'm serious. If you have any tips on how I can get rid of that, I'd like to hear them.
Tweet at Team Tespa. All right, so both of these teams have banned away the priests.
Yeah, not too surprising. Not like the super strong targets on the other side that you're looking for. Mage is definitely one of the ones you're looking for when you bring Priest to a lineup. And in the self-ban, I think that's one of the reasons we've continued to liberally see Priest is despite Mage's non-popularity since the change, the aggro decks got weaker. The Arena Mage decks targeted aggro. Priest doesn't have quite the same spot.
Yeah, it's a great point. Certainly the Dragon Priest performs reasonably against the field of decks, but nothing as great as it did against Reno Mage, which we've seen significantly less.
Dragon Priest is very Druid-esque in that it just likes to play big things and kind of move its way up the curve. Rather than having mana acceleration, you just have extra health attached to your minions. But other than that, it's pretty similar to it. Trying to get some strong value from your guys. Yeah, that's a double totem golem opener.
Oh boy.
Oh boy, indeed. Alberta, full mulligan for them. It looks like when they mulligan that way, too, they anticipate it being mid-range shaman. And
I
it
think
definitely
that's the read that makes the most sense in this meta.
I mean, you've just seen it over and over again. I mean, how many times have you seen a non-mid-range shaman as of late? And so in this matchup, Alberta, they're simply trying to find ways to take advantage of the board clears they have in their deck. Hellfire, of course. Totem Golem's about the only card it doesn't line up very well against in the early stages. Shadow Flame can be a big swing to the board. Twisting Nether can be a strong reset. Even Doomsayer can be a big nuisance here. So it's going to be a lot of life taps for them, and then look for ways to discount those cards and start making use of them. For UBC, it's really about building to that giant Jade state. That will often require them to find some source of card draw or to get massive value from their board. Here, that value is about to start. The fact that they didn't coin Totem Golem, too, is an indicator of how they expect this match to go to the long game.
The Shaman can very efficiently build their board state back up time and time again. So Alberta is going to need to be very responsible with those board clears. Certainly they have a way to fight against the horde of Jades. And UBC's Jade production is limited. It's not Jade Druid. They can't infinitely make Jades. But it's usually enough. The power level usually gets up to about 8 attack, 9 attack. That's a lot for the Reno Warlock to deal with.
Yeah. Jade production isn't quite on the paper towel level where they're produced every day in mass, and everywhere you go, there's paper towels available. It's more like trying to think of something that's like not super widely produced, and all that's coming to my head is like very fine wines and champagnes and stuff.
So
I guess like Tesla vehicles. Tesla vehicles aren't
Jade Druid is
super widely
paper
produced.
towels, and Jade Shaman is Tesla vehicles.
Yeah, sure. That sounds about
But
right.
you dislike Jade Shaman, but you love fancy products. I don't know. I'm confused.
I am too.
I happen to very much enjoy Tesla vehicles. They are sleek.
I'm not a big wine person though. No, not for me.
You seem like a whiskey good beer guy.
Stein
Yeah.
with Magni and the steak.
Like you go to
Yeah.
BlizzCon and you get that Stein, and I feel like you would make great
I
use
have
of it.
that on display. I love that thing. UBC just gonna take it slow. I mean, Totem Golem oftentimes is enough to force action from Alberta, and the Flame Tongue not directly challenged. So I'm curious to see how Alberta approaches this. Actually, I mean, their hand is fairly strong. Emperor Thorson, Abyssal, and Siphon Soul being some major tools here. Not the strongest Hellfire board though.
I mean, it clears it off evenly, but UBC already got nice value out of the Flame Tongue in the previous turn by facilitating the trade from the Totem Golem into the in-game boss. All things considered, this is pretty good for UBC.
Yeah, it's pretty even too. I mean, Alberta's looking for major value from those board clears. So the fact that Hellfire is used more out of necessity than it is out of a setup, I think that's a +1 for UBC.
Not to mention, UBC has been able to apply enough pressure that Alberta's hand is at 5 cards.
Yeah.
On going into turn 6 as
Keeping
Arena
them off
Warlock.
life tap. Yeah, that's a big deal. And not only that, but UBC's had a lot of discount going on for that thing from below. And heading into Alberta's turn 6, that is like the turn that you want to land thing from below, because it's challenging Sylvanas. It's challenging Emperor Thorson. If they think Sylvanas is going to be the play, there is some merit to just simply not using a totem in that spot. I'd probably still use it, because, sometimes it's going to be Emperor instead. But getting that 5/5 online right then, usually a good idea. When do they want to use their hexes? What's the big key for that card?
Certainly Mountain Giant and Twilight Drake are going to be priority hex targets, but if those were going to be causing you trouble, you would have seen them already.
This is really interesting too. So they're going to go with Azure Drake, and I think this is partially because of the Jade Lightning and the Maelstrom Portal. They saw Sylvanas here, they're simply free to take it out alongside, whatever they want. And get hex in that instance if they wanted to. Azure Drake's actually really strong in that spot. I like it.
Pushed Alberta off curve.
Dig it into your deck too. More information means you can make better decisions. I like it. Alberta did hit a very strong one into that Azure Drake, though. Good old Shadow Bolt.
If only Priest had Shadow Bolt. Man, oh man.
That card just used to not be played.
Yeah.
Just wasn't any good.
Certainly when you only need 1 copy of it, it's essential. But no deck really has ever existed where 2 copies of Shadow Bolt was the right idea.
Yeah, I tried once and I failed.
Well,
A long time ago, Puffin and I played it in Deck Wars.
yeah.
And I had Violet Teachers and Shadow Bolts.
That's way back.
And Mortal Coils. I had like a mid-range Warlock deck, and it was teched specifically to beat his Rogue. And he just crushed me with Rogue anyway.
Well, Puffin He's out of the competition scene.
He's a designer
He's got a
now.
nice job at Blizzard,
Yeah.
so we don't have to worry about him throwing a wrench in our Warlock versus Rogue plans anymore. Unless he is the one designing the Rogue cards to defeat the Warlock.
Well, he's a big Hunter fan.
That's true.
I'm hopeful that Flame Beast Faceless is on the horizon.
Only you, Admirable.
UBC's not a tough spot, but certainly not ideal.
I'd like to be able to develop more than this.
Yeah, if they give up the Jade Lightning here, it means that the future minions they run into maybe are a little bit tough for them to deal with. They don't want to give it the Hex. That's just poor development. They do have the Bran Azure Drake possibility next turn, though. So to me, that's what I'm looking at. Maybe if they just really want to couple Bran with a Jade effect, that would prompt Hex, I think, in that spot.
It's an okay Hex target. Call it a B list.
Also keeps their 3/3 around rather than having to trade it in. Ooh, that's a nice one. That's a good one to discount. That's a really good one to discount.
You'd like to be able to nether and play something behind it, so you're not giving all of the initiation over to your opponent. It's certainly a great draw for Alberta.
And UBC's got other things to worry about now, too. Although that Emperor, it's dying this turn. I'm just not entirely sure how. I mean, they have like 50 ways to kill it.
Yeah. Bran Claws. Jade Lightning kills it outright.
That's another good question, too, is how much is UBC willing to commit to the board to get this done? I mean, they have to pressure at some point, but Alberta's gotten very safely into this stage of the game. So the Jade Lightning here, I mean, this is the start of the Jades for UBC. So this nominal amount of pressure could mean a lot to Alberta. You know, maybe they look at this and they think Bloodlust is a possibility. But for UBC, I mean, they have to be eyeing draw with that Bran and Azure Drake right now. They're running out of resources. Lightning Storm and Maelstrom Portal, very poor in this matchup.
I mean, a lot of that is the risk you take when you choose to play mid-range Shaman. It has a lot of reactive resources that are not going to be useful in a lot of cases. And I would hedge my bets and say in most cases, from what we've been seeing, the Lightning Storms, the Portals, the Hexes, the Jinyus, they just always seem a little bit underwhelming to me.
Wow. That Doomsayer is also really good. That gives them the ability, if the board gets way out of control, they just need to buy back the time. Twisting Nether into Doomsayer oftentimes means that you're getting to your turn with 10 mana. It's tough for your opponent to just play minions into Doomsayer. Doesn't really work that well.
9 out of 10 doctors say playing minions into Doomsayer.
Do you struggle with playing minions into Doomsayer? Just every time they play Doomsayer, I play all my guys, and they die.
Then you need Silence. 0 mana. Effective against Doomsayer. Saves boards. Try Silence today.
You need to reconsider how you've approached the situation. Yeah, but here's the Azure Drake.
Silence has the unfortunate effect of plugging up your deck with bad cards.
Wow, they're going to Jade Claws. You know, this is actually really smart for UBC, too. This is a hard spot for Alberta to just go ahead and Twisting Nether because they have so much value on board. Now, if that's going to be the case, I am a little bit curious about the Lightning Storm because this is going to mean they have a giant board and Alberta's not going to have a giant board. Twisting Nether's not quite as costly here.
I'm thinking Shadow Flame is pretty sweet.
At this point, UBC had just made the decision, now, you know what, we can't beat any more board sweeps. That's just not going to happen. They set it up this way. They want to make the push. If Alberta only has Reno as the check here, you know, maybe they get out of this.
So many possibilities.
But they've got everything. How often do you see Dirty Rat inactive because of the board?
Not very frequently. Actually, here I think you would really like to see the Dirty Rat be active.
I think that's what they're going to do. I mean, they're eyeing at trading the Bran and then dirty ratting to try to get more value from the Shadow Flame.
And if it pulls nothing, well, then you have information about your opponent's hand.
Yeah, if it pulls nothing, that's, you know, you're a little sad about that, but you're pretty happy about it at the same time. It means the same thing. Wow.
Yeah, I really like this from Alberta.
Are they going to steal as well?
I think I would have liked to see the steal. It's the only time, really, that it's going to be relevant.
They get a brand of their own as well. Man, this is lights out for UBC. They have no cards left. And Alberta's got a lot of cards left.
Well, UBC managed to take Alberta off of the tap plan early on. Fortunately, it wasn't enough to dissuade them from drawing cards for the rest of the game. And eventually, Reno Warlock, it's just going to outvalue for card draw pretty much every time.
Yeah, it's the nature of the life tap. I mean, it comes at a cost of you can be weak to aggressive decks, but look at the upside. You get a bunch of free cards. I like drawing extra cards. Cards are good.
Then you just play Reno, heal all of the damage that you've dealt to yourself. That's a sweet deal.
Yeah, it's not always quite that pretty, but when it is, it's usually looking at a situation like this one.
Then just throw in Bran Kazakis, and you're like, what's that? You wanted more? Here you go. Eventually, you got to draw the line somewhere, Warlock.
Ah, combo being played as well.
I hadn't seen any any indicators of that up until this point.
Alberta, why not? Ensure you get the board back.
Might as well. You're not dying from 13. If you want to just play Reno and shut down the game, might as well. Do you suffer from playing your Eye of Black Paws into your opponent's Doomsayers?
I mean, there's just nothing UBC can do at this spot. Yeah, that's the thing. Alberta here is doing a great job recognizing that they're just totally safe at 13-2. I mean, the reach from UBC is very little when it's a mid-range Shaman deck. There's not going to be like big Doomhammer bursts. There's, yeah. That was a matter of time until something like that came about. Very decisive game number one. We've been seeing a lot of decisive games today.
Not a lot of close ones, which is unusual, especially since, well, I believe last week it was 6 3-2 matches.
Yeah.
But the fifth game for most of those matches was very decisive. All of the rest of those games, they could have gone either way. We saw a lot of swings, a lot of close games.
Yeah.
So
the only indecisive games that we saw were like mirror matches.
Yeah.
Where it would come down to eventually the one swing would happen. It would snowball. But other than that, it was the lineups were playing such a big part of the results last week. And here, lineups will play a part of this, but not nearly as much. I mean, it's pretty close to mirrored for the most. But now I fear a lot for UBC. I mean, Druid have that Warlock matchup to face up against. That's an important one. They needed that matchup for Druid to utilize that super powerful late game to win. Suddenly it's looking tough.
Yeah, looking like Alberta can target that Druid, just try to prevent it from getting a win and close out the series in favor of themselves. If British Columbia can get a win with the Druid, well, then it's all tied up again. Then it's anybody's game.
Yeah, that's the key though. UBC needs to win with that Druid, I think, to have a very good chance in this one. Outside of that, I picture a struggle coming. That's the one thing that Druid has continued to struggle with is aggression. Now it's a lot less now because there's no more small time Buccaneer. It doesn't just stay on the board through swipe and live through your hero powers and deal you 10, 12, 40 points of damage or whatever it's going to be.
10, 12, 40. Well, the Jade Druid, it's going to do okay against the Pirate Warrior and the Jade Shaman. They're not blowouts in favor of either side. I think Jade Druid versus Jade Shaman might be a little bit better for the Druid, But like you said,
Really?
small-time Buccaneer can't deal 40 damage. I mean, yeah, if the Shaman falters a little bit in the early game, or maybe if the Druid just picks up ramp and removal, they're going to go par for the mid-game. Druid's going to win out in the late game.
Huh. I see it a little bit differently. I think that oftentimes your Ancient of War is just a huge liability. It's one of your payoff cards and just gets hexed. And you're like, no. That didn't go so good for me. Flame Tongue's also just beastly against Druid. Like they don't have a strong way to really interact with that.
Seems like Ancient of War is just a liability
It's a big
many matchups.
It's a risk and reward card. Against aggro, it is usually fantastic. Against control, I kind of specialize in killing big stuff that doesn't get value. And in this matchup, speaking of specializing in killing stuff that doesn't get much value, that's really tough for UBC. Almost every card in Alberta's deck has some form of immediate value. That is a huge draw, though. Maelstrom Portal gives them board presence. Swat board presence as well. That's a second Arcanite Reaper drawn. All 3 5-cost cards in Alberta's deck are drawn. And look at UBC's reaction when they see the armor up.
That was fantastic.
They
Not to
laugh.
mention, Northshire Cleric potentially benefits from the Healing Totem.
That's right.
We're saying it before. Okay, well, I said maybe Northshire Cleric is like the Manatide Totem in Priest. Now, Shaman gets both. Why not?
Kind of a weird spot here for UBC. They're just going to tank the damage. Now, I am a little bit curious about this turn, though. I don't think they actually play Totem Golem here. I think this is Hero Power. Yep.
Yeah.
This would offset their turn 4 if they chose to play Totem Golem here. And again, Healing Totem would have drawn them a card.
And Stoneclaw would have just been
Had been
great
really
as
good.
always.
Yeah. Even a 1/1 would have just been fine here. Just honestly, Spell Power is one of their weaker roles.
When can you ever say that?
Very rarely. And Alberta, with the way their hand is constructed, I don't think they can afford to trade at this point. They just got to go face and hope that this works out. Time for the payoffs.
Yeah, this is looking really nice for UBC. Alberta does have 26 damage over 5 turns with 2 Arcanite Reapers and a Leroy.
That's heaps. UBC, though, curious how aggressively they're going to try to close in on a Taunt Totem here.
We got a Jinyu Water Speaker and a Dream.
I think those totems, I think it's the way to go. You add a similar amount of power no matter what you do. Your time to kill doesn't really change that much if you Jade Lightning right away.
Well, if you want the Chieftain to come down on 7 because it's a guaranteed taunt. Means you can't play Jinyu on 6 because you're overloaded.
Couldn't play Totem
So-
Golem in that instance either.
Do you play Jinyu this turn?
It's a good question. That's the conclusion they've made. That's a strong spot. I like it.
3/6 on board that's a formidable body.
Well, it's hard to couple that with the Pirate that Alberta has in hand. It would override their Arcanite Reaper, and they're not in that business right now.
Well,
It's not a very subtle deck.
no. Pirate Warrior's not going to try and trick you with what it's doing.
Steady shot.
Here we come to this situation again.
Oh, it's steady shot for sure. Their hand is so heavy. When you see the Pirate Warrior in its natural environment here. Weapons and steady shot. It's like a nature show, you know? We're observing
Rick
these two
Stever
creatures,
would
their natural habitat.
he would have liked to play Hunter.
They only need a couple steady shots to make a big impact too, so foregoing at this turn, not really that much of a cost. But UBC does have to pay attention to the board, so that gives Alberta more time. And that's what they need right now. Unlock double Arcanite Reaper swings and a Leroy Jenkins. They need time. every bit of that time means 2 more damage for them as well. Steady shot, steady shot, steady shot. This is great for Alberta, honestly. I mean, it was looking really bad. Suddenly it's looking like it's pretty good.
Well, doesn't hurt that the most mana efficient play for UBC overloads them for 3 on the following turn. Yeah, they think they have to keep that Jade Chieftain as an option.
Yeah, they're just going to trade in the Northshire here, too. They want the damage pressure. I'm curious if that matters. I haven't counted that yet. But being able to roll totems and fill up the board and get more taunts, that's relevant, too. So UBC's, I mean, their plan is pretty straightforward, and so is Alberta's. Override the 2/4 weapon. Giddy up.
Deal 7 face.
And the Sousy deckhand was like a fantastic draw for them, too. I mean, if they saw a taunt totem, they have a way to get through it.
Well, this Chieftain comes down with a
Oh, they have the push
4/4
through
golem.
6, 7, 8, 9. They're 1 mana off killing UBC in this spot.
Yeah.
Wait, no, they're not. They're going to 8.
Yeah,
6,
they,
7, 8. Oh, they win.
Reaper the 4/4, Leroy deckhand hero power.
Wow.
That's just lethal,
That's
folks.
6.
No, they won't have a weapon. They won't have a weapon because you can't play the first mate.
It doesn't get charged unless you have a weapon.
Yeah, because you can play it and attack, but then it still won't have charge because your weapon dies.
So you-
correct?
Yeah, so you
Yeah.
Leroy down the 4/4.
And then you have 9.
Oh my gosh. How do
But
they?
then you're dead.
Are they
Maybe
dead?
you're not dead.
No, they don't take
It's
the damage
13
from
on
the weapon.
board. Maybe you're not dead. Nope, 14 because of the whelp.
They have to fade a single point of damage unless they trade in. They're not trading in. They're going to make steady shot lethal next turn. So UBC needs to have a way to gain health or a way to deal damage. That's their only way to win right now.
We've seen both Jade Lightnings.
Holy smokes. No damage.
Heartbreaking.
Alberta's going to win this game. Six cards, no heal, no damage.
Dang it, Rexar, you're out of the meta for a reason. Stop influencing. Yeah, they know it.
Wow.
No way for UBC to close out that game. 1 damage off lethal. And the steady shot was going to close it out for Alberta, even if UBC had had a taunt. Okay, there was a close game. We got 1.
Wow. Like, that is ridiculous. Is there any way that UBC could have squeezed out an extra point of damage that game? If they protected their Northshire Cleric by trading in over the 2/2, would they got enough hits out of the Northshire Cleric to make up that fact? Like, the littlest things in that game might have mattered towards the end. I mean, there's no way for them to have been able to put Alberta on double Arcanite Reaper Leroy
Yeah.
as their hand, and that's what ended up pulling out so much damage was that combination.
Can't remember how many turns the golem hit for.
That's crazy.
That was a close one. But ultimately, Alberta was able to take game number 2. They're now up 2-1, match point over UBC. We do have another tweet. Let's see what this one says. Comes to us from Board Game Billy. When you are traveling, what is the one item that you can't do without?
Toothbrush. Bring
Okay.
a toothbrush with you. It's really annoying to have to go somewhere else and find a toothbrush, especially one that's not the one you have at home. And you also got to buy toothpaste. It's just super annoying. I bring a toothbrush with me everywhere.
I'm not a toothbrush snob. I mean, yes, I always have to have a toothbrush, but if there's a gift shop in the hotel, you can get a toothbrush for like $2. It's not the most important thing. My phone charger, and then, by consequence, my phone, I probably couldn't do without. I always need my glasses. I wear contacts. It's an unfortunate reality of life, and I wouldn't actually be able to see at night without my glasses.
You
So,
definitely have your priorities way more ahead of mine. For me, I'm just like, my teeth got to be clean. Like,
and
that's
then
it.
like my laptop's nice. I don't know.
Toothbrush for me.
It's a couple things I guess I couldn't do without, but
I'm sticking with it.
toothbrush is a fine answer. If you have any questions that you want to ask us, tweet at Team Tespa. Go on Facebook/Team Tespa. If your question gets chosen to be featured on stream, then you do receive the $1 on Flame card back. Remember your toothbrush, folks.
It's lit.
Win yourself a card back. It's pretty sweet.
You can't get a toothbrush for free, but you can get.
Well,
I guess you can
if you
from a
go to the
dentist,
dentist, I went to the dentist last week. We're
Is
all
it free, though?
good.
You pay a lot of money for the dentist.
Well, fortunately for me, my mother has good insurance, and I
Rock on.
am a leech that still lives at home.
3 games straight needed for UBC, and this is a clutch match. If they don't win, that's it.
Oh, there's so much riding on UBC being able to turn this one around. And I gotta say, I was a little biased here. We've seen University of Alberta on stream before, but you know, It's Bolt was a teammate of mine. He'd mentioned to me before that we were going to be casting his game this week, and I was like, oh, I hope you win. That's really fun. It's really cool. It's always nice seeing people that you've worked with in the past succeeding in this scene. There's a lot riding on this game for them.
Yeah, 3 straight's tough.
Ooh.
Even if your opponent is only 40% to win each game, they still come out as a massive favorite to take the match.
It's been done before. They could certainly do it again. But Alberta has been looking very strong.
Yeah, we're starting with a Shaman Mirror match, too. And this one so much boils down to being able to get strong early game value. If one team is able to control the totem pressure and another team isn't, that's usually enough to sway it. And Alberta, they had a Tunnel Trog and a Manatide Totem in their opening hand. They chose to mulligan the Manatide Totem.
Manatide Totem, time and time again, has proven itself to be one of the strongest cards in this matchup.
You got to kill that thing.
If you have a Manatide Totem and a Totem Golem on board...
Well, I mean, if you got 2 Tunnel Trogs on board, you're looking pretty good, too. But UBC does have Jade Claws, and they have Maelstrom Portal, so they do have some strong game against this. I'm curious to see if they're going to just Jade Claws here instantly. Yep. Or if they were going to roll a totem. I mean, half their totems in this spot looked fantastic.
Well, this is what Alberta set themselves up for. They had a game plan. They're sticking to it. UBC is going to get the full clear.
Wow, that is sick.
That's nice. They took 7, but it's 3 resources that Alberta had to use.
Alley Cat not quite as exciting
But he's
without
so
the battle
cute.
cry. And this is what Alberta was looking for here, too, was to have this kind of turn happen. If it did, they have Jade Lightning option. And they drew Manatide as well. That's a big draw. I think I tend to kill the Alley Cat here. I think having the totem's worth it.
Agreed. Waters down the rest of your totem pool. Makes it more likely that you get spell damage when you need it, Stoneclaw when you need it.
Suddenly the delayed double Tunnel Trog.
Ooh. That's very strong.
Well, this is not good news for Alberta.
Now suddenly Manatide Totem is looking a little bit weak.
Yeah, this is a rough one. They're just going to play the Genie. They said 3/6 body strong enough.
Certainly seems like it.
Well, now UBC has a tough decision to make. Unless they drew Totem Golem.
Ah. Yes. Good.
It's a little bit easier to make now. Sometimes.
Well, still want to run in the Trog and the Claws, right?
I don't think they're going to use the Alley Cat to do it.
Well, the Totem Golem didn't make the turn that much easier. They were just going to Hero Power.
Well, I was going to see because they had an argument for Lightning Storm.
Oh, really?
I mean, 2 Tunnel Trogs out.
Okay.
They roll high on the Lightning Storm. They had a full clear. They only had
true.
4 mana, though, so that would have been a decision to make. Suddenly, Alberta, Jade Lightning's going to try to bring this back home. With UBC with initiative. Them
Alberta's got the resources, though.
Them having attackers initiative. Oh, my gosh, that is huge. Wow.
That's fantastic.
The value is now churning for Alberta at this point. You get to kill minions for basically free. They're going to draw extra cards. connecting with their minions. And this is
Jade Lightning draw 2.
Alberta's. I think Alberta's done. This is going to be too much damage.
Well, how can you remove the most damage from the board? You can only hex 1 minion.
Oh, you remember that conundrum where you either killed the damage or you killed the card draw?
Yeah, we've been running into that one quite a bit.
Yeah. They're just going to draw their own cards. They're looking for Lightning Storm.
That's not it.
Wow.
Well, it's a great series of draws for UBC.
Thinking they start with a totem here and then evaluate.
Nothing wrong with that.
Wrath of Air would mean Lightning Storm can full clear, get extra damage on the Tunnel Trog. Jade Lightnings mean they get more minions right now. With Alberta's play, though, it's very clear they're looking for
Something.
their Lightning Storm. I mean, that's what they're looking for in this spot. They certainly would have done it last turn if they had it.
Well, I guess the totem doesn't really make any difference if this is the line you were going for. Healing Totem's great, too. It means that Totem Golem doesn't automatically die to Lightning Storm.
I think they could have rolled a 0/0 totem and just been fine here.
2 mana, roll 0/0 Totem, dies immediately.
Yeah.
Maybe then Shaman would be balanced.
The Master of Nothing totem. And that's game.
The Dead Claw Totem. Well, UBC manages to claw their way
Wow.
into this series. They've picked up 1 win. Now they have to do it 2 more times.
And that just came down to the early board swing that UBC had. The Jade Claws plus the Maelstrom Portal took care of the 2 Tunnel Trogs. Alberta, no way to answer back the Tunnel Trogs from UBC. That early game advantage, them being able to pay some of their life total, take a little bit of damage, swing the board back, get their own board, that'll do it. That'll do it in a lot of situations. And the Mana Tide was just like icing on the cake. If they didn't have everything they needed, that was certainly going to help draw them to it. It was very important fast for them to secure the board on 4.
Yeah, UBC cleared off both Trogs from Alberta early on, then had both of theirs as well as the Jade Claws to follow up. Worked out very well for UBC. So they have taken their first win in the series. They are now going to need to find wins with the Warrior and the Druid against the mid-range Jade Shaman. And we saw University of Alberta's Warrior beat UBC's Shaman. But it looked like the Shaman was doing well in that game.
Yeah, it really did. And what it ended up boiling down to was just the efficient damage that was present in the endgame. And then the steady shot came through big, just providing a couple points of damage. So Warrior typically is thought to be a disadvantage in that matchup, but it's very different playing against mid-range Shaman than it is playing against like the aggro Shamans of old, where they had double feral spirits, where they had more stuff to fight for the early board. They had Spirit Claws in the deck. These cards are not really here anymore. And if that's the case, I'm actually curious if Shaman has an advantage over Pirate Warrior in that instance, even with this change of Small Time Buccaneer. I'm not sure it does. This is another matchup I'm worried about, though, and that's the one they're going to fire up right away. Druid versus mid-range Shaman. I think a lot of this is going to come down to hex timing and UBC's ability to actually kill a Mana Tide totem.
It's not going to be easy for UBC. They do pick up the Wild Growth, but Alberta has Tunnel Trog, Mana Tide Totem. Very strong.
And a thing from below they're turning into now.
Makes every hero power that much better.
Alberta's certainly going to be eyeing the turn 2 Mana Tide, I think.
Well, Druid of the Claw charge into Mana Tide. That's a removal.
Very efficient one at that. That's like a Jade Lightning almost. Except it's a 4/4 instead of a 1/1.
That's a good
Yeah,
point.
well, Totem Golem changes a lot of things. Although Druid of the Claw still looks pretty strong into that.
I don't know. Do you taunt or do you charge at that point? Hex is something you have to worry about.
Oh, it is. Charge leaves you vulnerable to Jade Claws or to Maelstrom Portal. Taunt leaves you vulnerable to Hex. I think I'd probably taunt. Not happy about it, but
Your opponent would have to coin Hex.
I could see charging into the Tunnel Trog. I think that's a lot better than if you're going to charge the Totem Golem. And Brick Wall suddenly. This card was not played in Druid for a while.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Can you believe it? For a very long time.
I wonder.
Yeah, now suddenly the tech choice from Alberta, that Bloodlust, it being in hand so early.
It's a prime example of the win more cards that we were talking about before.
Let's see.
Bloodlust, if you're in a good board state, can help you close out games several turns before you should have been able to.
Yeah, and oftentimes because of that, games you shouldn't have been able to begin with. But a lot of times when you have that big of a board, it means you're winning anyway. So it serves a very specific purpose. When your board is weak, do something huge. Here, though,
Turns a bunch of totems into something valuable.
There's no use for it here, and UBC is about to get a major payoff. Holy mackerel.
That's making turn 6 look really good.
That's a great draw for UBC. That's going to mean they kill the Totem Golem in this spot.
Yeah, before it was looking like they were going to take out the Trog.
Which is kind of weird. I mean, Trog tends to be worth a little bit more than the Totem Golem because of what it represents. But in the mid-range Shaman builds, it definitely is not quite as impactful.
There's only so much overload.
Yeah, you're not seeing like Flame Wreath a lot of times. Barrel Spirit's often trimmed to 1 or just completely out of the deck.
And if Lightning Storm were to come down here, then Trog's attack likely wouldn't matter anyway.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty bad to see Lightning Storm here, but what can they do? What are their options? It's not like they had a bigger thing to put in the way.
This thing from below coming down.
Yeah, imagine it was Flame Wreath instead.
Yeah. Oh, Flame Wreath is still occasionally in mid-range Shaman. 4 mana, 7/7.
What to do?
It's hard to not be good with that stat line. And the tag, buff your Tunnel Trog by 2 attack.
It's a good card. Alberta has officially lost the board, though.
That's tough for a Shaman to do in this matchup. Usually it's so easy for them to take early board control and just swing it.
Oh my. Oh, the hits keep coming. I mean, that's just an entirely different turn for them.
Yeah,
now.
Wrath for Cycle, Living Roots. You can throw in a Jade Blossom.
Sounds good.
Or Feral Rage, if you don't want to give up any of the health on your minions.
Now, they've drawn lots of strong utility, but I'd say the one thing they are missing is ways to take advantage of the fact they've gotten to this board state now. They're very vulnerable to AoE damage from Alberta. They're very vulnerable to pretty much any of the efficient damage sources they have.
Well,
just not
UBC, they've drawn so much utility now that the density of good draws in their deck is relatively high. 2 Nourish, Ancient of War, all of the Jade cards.
Wonder.
Yeah, I would assume Ancient of War is in the deck. For sure.
We've seen at least one copy of it in pretty much every Jade Druid.
It's just gone downhill. I mean, the games, they've had these big moments of tension where it feels like they're so close to getting back into it. Just missing the keys. Another +1 for UBC. Oh my gosh.
Normally, a very weak card in this matchup. Super weak to hacks. But here,
If Druid can do this to the board, I mean, it's so favored. And this is one of the reasons why you've seen Druid creep up in the metagame, is with no small-time Buccaneer, the damage just doesn't pile on nearly as consistently as it did before. And in almost every game before, you could expect to face down a 1-drop into a strong 2-drop and then have taken so much damage that you couldn't recover. With the loss of that consistency, that means that Druid's more often getting to this point. This is when it sees its big payoff. Decent life total. Small board. Oh, that is brutal.
That's brutal.
Get in there, man. A tie total.
You got this, buddy. Draw me a card. Well, and just UBC's at 10 mana this turn. Alberta was at 6, 5 because they were overloaded for 1. That's what happens when the Druid ramps that early. Well, that's quite good.
Yeah, Feral Rage. Look, what looks like for just for the attack. I mean, they're interested in getting that Ancient War down immediately and then having the follow-up of Brand and Jade Behemoth. So, I mean, this is the first test for Hex. And when Alberta doesn't have it, UBC is very likely to just simply run away with the game. I mean, you said it. They drew all their utility. Where are the weak cards coming from here? Innervate?
Second Wild Growth.
Even that draws a
Even
card.
that draws a card.
Yeah. It's like Innervate. That's about it.
I mean, Gadgetson, if they have it in the deck, isn't a very strong draw. Okay, well,
No.
yeah.
It's honestly not even that bad here.
You can brand Behemoth, Innervate Hero Power, kill the Flame Tongue,
I don't need
and
to
kill
do
their
that,
brand.
But there is a magic draw here for Alberta. It's not it, but Lightning Storm would have been some good.
That actually might have put Alberta right back into this game.
I mean, they're never getting Bloodlust value again, that's for sure. The problem is the attacks just line up so poorly.
Alberta has to throw 10 into the Ancient War.
And they're still facing down 11 power afterwards. There's no way Alberta's going to win from here. I just don't think that's how the cards work.
Neither do I, Admirable. That's pretty good.
Just another 11 power? How about 13? What would you like? Would you rather have 13? Yeah, sure, why not? Okay.
Devolve.
They could hit some sick devolves here, actually. I mean,
That's true.
They would have to, get perfect across the board for it.
Bran would have to go into the Doomsayer, likely.
Oh, yeah, I guess they just need the one. That's always, yeah, but, yeah, fair enough.
But, I mean, 6 could go into... It's the weakest 5-drop. Starving Buzzard.
Well, they're not technically dead. They're staying alive at 1 if they Lightning Bolt to 5/5 here.
Oh, yep, Lightning Bolt your own face is an option. They're not going to take that road.
Yeah, another 7/7 seems all right.
Shaman has 4 mana 7/7s. Druid, if you give it time, has 1 mana 7/7s.
At this stage, I no longer think Alberta has an out. I guess it could still just be devolving to Doomsayer, but I
That's
wonder if
pretty
there's
much
any merit
it.
to ever trading off your brand because of that. Like, that's actually the only way you lose.
I mean, yeah, but the odds of it happening are just so low. I don't think even a lot of the seasoned professionals would do that. But it is literally the only way that Alberta wins this game.
I think it is. Like, just look at the way the board position worked. Like, that's kind of interesting, actually. I've never really thought about that.
Well, we need to be more cognizant about the potential for devolve into Doomsayer.
That's the time to think about fringe situations, is when you're so far ahead that it takes something absurd for you to lose. Game 5 coming up.
Well, I said they needed to really push themselves back into the series. They have. They've tied it up.
Just back and forth, we've seen decisive game, decisive game, decisive. It's been very little real debate on the panouts
Yeah, nothing.
today. That's crazy. I mean, it's just another thing to look at for the Collegiate Series where something strange happens every single week.
It's been something different every time. There has never been a week where
We saw an uproot opportunity earlier.
we did.
Like a legit, strong
Good
uproot
opportunity.
Yeah.
That would have been nice. I would have liked to see that. Game number 5, University of British Columbia. They've got to win it with Warrior. And University of Alberta
And this is it.
has to take it with the Shaman.
Last game, the last chance. They need to win here or it's next season. The winner to the playoffs. 7 weeks have boiled down to the next game.
That is as high as the stakes can get at this point.
It just doesn't get any closer. You just can't. And it's Pirate Warrior, or we saw it was Pirate Warrior, right?
They haven't played the Warrior yet.
Oh, so we don't know if it's Pirate Warrior or not. I would assume it's Pirate Warrior.
Yeah, it's the most relevant Warrior in the meta. And it's up against Alberta's Jade Shaman.
And that's the one we've been seeing lose to Pirate Warrior over and over again. It's Jade Shaman builds. They have so many 4s in the deck, they just never get access to them.
We've just been seeing Jade Shaman lose over and over again, period. UBC played theirs 3 games in a row. Alberta has now played theirs 3 games in a row, trying to find a win with it.
I'm telling you, it just doesn't do it for me. Something's got to change.
Well, fortunately, change is a-comin', Admirable.
In this matchup, UBC, they don't really have the liberty of just being recklessly aggressive. That is a recipe for disaster in this matchup. What they do need is strong early weapons to fight for board, and then threats that actually stick. So the Naga Corsair, it's kind of meant to be a tech card that's strong in this matchup. Right away, they start getting attacks. Alberta, their whole goal is to shut down the assault from UBC and then stabilize the board. They can stabilize fairly well from a low life total, but they need the right tools for it first.
That's a good start. Stoneclaw can prevent a lot of damage in this matchup.
That's a good one.
Well, we saw Steady Shot win Alberta this game when they were on the Pirate Warrior.
Every card in this deck just seems to match up so well versus mid-range Shaman. Maelstrom Portal is like the trick that can catch them in this spot. They're going to delay the Finley. They want the Fiery War Axe right now. I can't say I really blame them for this. You know, if they anticipate seeing Bran or like a Mana Tide Totem on this following turn,
Yeah.
they want to be able to drop one of their minions and keep attacking. This is actually really smart from UBC. This just worked perfectly.
Well, the coin Naga Corsair just looks fantastic here.
Oh, that
Frothing
Berserker
also.
too.
Both of these are high priority Jade Lightning targets, though. So, which would you rather have? Naga Corsair or Frothing Berserker? Naga Corsair already gets you the attack buff on your weapon. Frothing Berserker, I think you would rather have stick around to attack.
Yeah, and that's the reason why they play this first. This is the test for Jade Lightning. When they see this, they can follow up with the Finley and with the Frothing Berserker, and then figure out how they want to play the rest of this. But now the Frothing Berserker looks like it's going to go unchecked. They're just going to upgrade instead because they want to keep swinging away.
You just picked up another Fiery War Axe. You need to get those weapon charges in.
Yeah, I mean, they don't know what they need from Finley just yet either. So this is actually really wise from UBC to just hang on to it. If Alberta doesn't know that Finley's there, how can they account for that hero power?
Hex is a big pickup for Alberta.
Is that going to be enough, though? Kor'kron's right there.
Well, Stoneclaw's going to absorb 4. Wow.
Oh my gosh. And that's a life tap. UBC is firing on all cylinders right now. They had the early game. They got the weapon synergy. They have life tap. They have the board.
This is Pirate Warrior at its strongest post Small Time Buccaneer. Still looking very, very strong.
There's still a ton of synergy left in this deck. I mean, Azaw's first mate, you know, for all intents and purposes, still one of the strongest minions that's here. But look at this. They're just going to sink 6 damage. into a Mana Tide. That's so they can get the slower minion of the Bloodsail Cultist online immediately and be able to follow up with the Kor'kron Elite.
Well, that's exactly what the mid-range Shaman is looking to do in this matchup. Stoneclaw Totem can soak up so much damage just because Pirate Warrior finds itself in a lot of inefficient situations, and that's how the mid-range Shaman is really able to fight themselves back into these games.
And it looks like Alberta, I don't know if this means they're going to go for the Thing from Below as well, or if they're going to try to just bait attacks by using both Mana Tide totems. They need some extra answers right now. They need another Thing from Below. They need Jinyu Water Speaker. They need to sweep the board.
Maybe 2 draws and pulling 6 damage is your best way to do it. I don't think these Mana Tides are pulling damage, though.
That might be the best hope, though. I mean, at this stage, just hope that UBC makes a mistake. Say 1 Mana Tide's enough. We need to stop something. That big old fiery War Axe looking mighty good.
And another Naga Corsair.
They're going to debate whether or not they want to kill this Mana Tide. I mean, Mana Tide, it's already gotten its draw. If UBC only expects the game to last one more turn, there's not really a reason to kill it.
I think if you're putting your opponent at 9, you're not expecting this game to go one more turn.
Wow.
Unless your opponent already has in their hand everything that they need.
This is the
to draw the
opportunity
game out.
for Alberta. Roll Spell Power, roll Lightning Storm. If they get that, UBC suddenly only has 4 damage coming in. Can Alberta draw out of that? Because then the Mana Tide's turning.
Got to be the 1 and 4. Stoneclaw, if the Lightning Storm rolls high on the Kor'kron.
The backup plan not looking quite as appealing, but if it's what you got, it's what you got.
They're running through all their options.
There's just no draw in the deck that Azure Drake could provide.
Maelstrom doesn't do anything.
UBC smiles when they see the 1-1.
Alberta knows that is not what they wanted.
Oh, Nelly.
Roll low on the Kor'kron and the Cultist.
The Kor'kron's the one that mattered.
That's going to be it.
And that's it. UBC turns it around. Down 2 games. 3 straight playoffs.
Talk about a turnaround. And when it mattered most, they buckled down. They won 3 in a row. They got there.
That is just nuts.
5-2 record. University of British Columbia is going to the regional playoffs.
It's almost like our second match like sort of foreshadowed this, where in the interview they said, well, we lost our first 2 matches in the season, and now we've gotten 5 straight wins. Here, down to the very last game, lost 2 games, 3-0 afterwards. That's got to feel good.
They made it exciting. They certainly did. And mid-range Shaman, I would have to say, is the big loser of this series, and kind of the most underwhelming deck in this tournament the last couple of weeks. It just has not been performing well under any situation, and in a lot of cases, the only time it wins is against itself in the mirror.
I don't know if that's a product of the way it's been built, the way it's been piloted. I mean, there's a lot of different things that can happen in this deck. I mean, plus it's just, sample size.
Yeah, that's true.
You need typically hundreds of games to have full confidence in what you're actually seeing. One set doesn't decide who had the advantage to start with. One set decides who's the winner. And all those numbers put together is what's going to figure that out. Mid-range Shaman, though, I will say it has struggled in the Collegiate Series.
Well, in this case, University of British Columbia is our winner. We have them on the line for a short interview. Congratulations, Bolt. You guys have performed so incredibly well today. How does it feel to be 5-2 and knowing that you're going to the regional playoffs?
It feels really good. Like all the games that we lost in the Collegiate Series were against really good teams. So being down 2 games and having our last match actually matter so much is just too crazy. And having it go down to Game 5 is just, it's really heart-clenching.
Yeah, I can't imagine how it was for you guys.
Closer than that.
But you seem to be in a really awesome room right now. Tell us about the esports environment at University of British Columbia, and tell us a little bit about where you are.
Right now, we're in the UBC Esports Gaming Lounge, and it's powered by NCIX PC. It actually has 22 computers in here, and we started this room in October, last October. So it's pretty new. It has well-built computers, and I mean, it's just something that we created to allow students on campus to just enjoy esports and just the gaming environment itself too.
That is really, really cool. I would have killed for something like that at my school. It's not something you see every day, but it certainly has been popping up more and more as time goes on and as esports becomes more popular in the collegiate scene. So obviously you've been playing Hearthstone for a very long time. Tell us about how your team came together to play in this tournament.
Ever since Collegiate Hearthstone started with all the other tournaments, some of the members have been here for quite a while, but some of them have graduated. And one of the graduates are actually playing in a different, they're moving on and doing like coaching and stuff as well. And last year we played in Collegiate Star League, which is another organization that did collegiate esports, and we actually won their championship, and that was held at DreamHack Austin. So King of Kimchi, one of the players, was with me at that time, and we brought on Big Black Duck to join us for Tespa this year.
Well, you had success at that one, and now you're in the playoffs of this one. What would it mean to you to take 2 big tournaments in Collegiate Series?
I think it would be insane because for those who don't know, we have a very prominent esports scene here at UBC. We've won multiple titles across multiple games, such as League of Legends, Dota, and Hearthstone. So I think just adding another title and prize to our esports career here is pretty amazing.
Creating quite a name for your school in the esports scene. That's fantastic. Well, is there anything else you want to say? Maybe any shout outs that you want to give?
Just shout outs to our sponsors, our hardware sponsor, NCIX PC, Wangyu Cyber Cafe, Asus, Republic Gamers, Corsair, Gameforge, and Twitch.
All right. Well, fantastic job. Best of luck moving on in this tournament, and congratulations once again on your spot in the regional playoffs.
Well played.
Thank you.
That's a better setup than I have at home.
Well, yeah, look at it.
I mean, yeah, I don't have 22 computers
If you
at
have
home,
a better
but
setup than that at home,
that's gorgeous.
You need to rethink what you're doing with home.
Because you must be sponsored.
Because that is awesome, and I want to be a part of it.
Sweet. I mean, my dad owns a computer store, and I've never seen anything like that. That is nice.
For whatever reason, I pictured like a Dale Baskets computer store. Have you seen that show?
No.
His brother's just, I don't know, he's out of it. And he thinks he's got it going on. He really doesn't. But, like, just watch it. You'll understand what I mean. It'll make a lot more sense then.
Sounds a lot like my family.
I wish he would have just lied.
Yes, I've seen it. How applicable. Well done, Nathan. Very funny joke. Let's take a look at our schedule one more time. Chapel Hill, 3-2 over NC State. Of course, Cal, 3-1 over UC San Diego. And we just saw an awesome reverse sweep. UBC, 3-2 over Alberta. Of course, tomorrow we're going to be going to the East and North regions. It's going to be George Wash taking on Penn State, Colorado State up against Miami, Ohio, and then Robert Morris will be taking on Waterloo. Yeah, 2 more decider matches tomorrow as well in the first and third. So there are more do or die matches, which are my favorites to watch. So, I haven't pointed out a ton today, but watching the cameras from the 2 teams is something I love doing. Because as soon as they hit a kind of a shaky situation, you see it, and you're like, They're so reactive.
This is the moment.
It's all the heads and hands and the cheering. We've seen a lot of it today. I guess we'll have to point it out a little bit more tomorrow because that is certainly a lot of fun. It is crunch time for many of these teams. Teams with 4-2 records have one more chance this week to make it to the regional playoffs. Of course, we've been taking more Twitter questions. We are going to continue doing that tomorrow. So tweet at Team Tespa. Go on Facebook /Team Tespa. Ask us questions. Let us know who you're rooting for. And if you are chosen to be featured on stream, then you do receive the $1 on Flame card back.
And it's free.
It is absolutely free. But what isn't free is putting on this tournament. So we are powered by Twitch here at the ESL Studios in Burbank, and we want to give huge thanks to Gunner and Steel Series for making this entire tournament possible, for making it possible for us to see some incredible situations over the last 7 weeks. It has been a fantastic ride.
Yeah, I just really couldn't have asked for much more. Every single week it seems something has delivered. Haven't seen a huge surprise yet. this week, so I'm expecting tomorrow to deliver big time. It's got a lot to live up to.
Tomorrow is going to have to provide. Of course, today we had a lot of blowouts, but we had a lot of fun as well. 2 teams moving to the regional playoffs. Does it get much better than this?
I don't think it does. I got 2 more tomorrow. Those are the ones I like to see when it's clutch time, when it counts, who can bring all the marbles home.
Well, we will have to see what awaits for us tomorrow. We will be back, same time, same place, with more collegiate Hearthstone action in the 7th and final week of the Swiss for this tournament. We'll see you tomorrow.